It's the nightmare scenario that every president and his chief of staff must face. The possibility of activating the football, the briefcase equipped with codes for launching a nuclear attack.
When the football is passed from one administration to another, it underscores that the sacred responsibility of any president is commander-in-chief to protect the security of the American people. I could quickly sense from his body language and his expressions to the briefing that we were pretty much thinking the same thing as we caught each other's eye there. We knew this was going to be a heavy responsibility, and boy, were we ever right.
The passing of the football occurs at high noon. Nobody says a word, but I knew what to look for. And so you got the ceremony going down front, but up behind, sort of behind one of the big pillars there on the front, these two guys are standing there in their uniform, and at the right moment, he reaches over and hands it to the newly designated military aide, and he takes it from that moment up. The new president is the guy who's in control of our nuclear assets.
Every morning, alone at his desk, Jimmy Carter would spin the globe to the Soviet Union and contemplate what he would do in the event of a Soviet first strike.
He prayed about having the necessary wisdom and strength and fortitude to act appropriately in that case.
It was always on his mind, the idea that there could be a third world war under his watch.
100 short, and we're at 1,100 and somebody else is at 500 or 400 because we're way ahead of everybody. I don't think you can say that we don't get it automatically. I think you'd have riots.
China has remained largely quiet, but Donald Trump's seismic shift in political momentum is now prompting rumblings there. The Republican frontrunner once tweeted that global warming is a Chinese conspiracy. And more recently, he accused Beijing of stealing American jobs. Now, that theme was again front and center during his victory speech late on Tuesday.
Someday in the not-too-distant future, if I win, otherwise it's not going to happen, I have to be honest with you. But Apple and all of these great companies will be making their product in the United States, not in China, Vietnam, and all of... You lose $500 billion a year with China. We lose $58 billion a year in terms of imbalance. It's a total imbalance. We don't make good deals anymore. We don't win anymore.
Now, the response from inside China is nothing short of scathing and editorial. And China's Global Times openly brands Trump as a, quote, racist and big-mouthed, and describes violence at his rallies as, quote, shocking. Now, the piece, it was published on Monday, says Trump's White House bid has opened a Pandora's box, quote. His remarks are abusively racist and extremist, which has left an impression on the U.S. public that he is intentionally overthrowing political correctness, unquote. Now, the piece ends with a somewhat disturbing taunt against the U.S. democratic process, saying this, quote, Mussolini and Hitler came to power through elections, a heavy lesson for Western democracy. Now, Trump has also drawn the ire of some of China's most prominent dissidents. In a recent CNN debate, he was asked about a highly controversial remark made years ago about the Tiananmen Square massacre. And to many, his answer only inflamed the situation.
And about China's massacre of pro-democracy protesters at Tiananmen Square, you said, quote, when the students poured into Tiananmen Square, the Chinese government almost blew it. Then they were vicious, they were horrible, but they put it down with strength. That shows you the power of strength. How do you respond to...
That doesn't mean I was endorsing that. I was not endorsing it. I said that is a strong, powerful government that put it down with strength, and then they kept down the riot. It was a horrible thing. It doesn't mean at all I was endorsing it.